Welcome everyone to my how-to video on completing assignment 7043 part A. So basically in this assignment you are requesting peer review advice from two classmates on your job application letter. So starting out in our course Moodle, scrolling down to week 3, in the summary of this week you can see that there are links to 7043. If you click on any of these, they'll all lead to the same page, just to a different part of the page. So by the time that you do 7043, you should have already completed Part C. So Part C has you create a resume and a job application letter tailored to a job ad. And Part A is you actually sending a draft of your job application letter to classmates for peer review. So let's go ahead and click on this link here, and that will take us into the wiki. And this is the page for 7043, regardless of which one you click on. So as you can see, it has you do Part C first, and then Part A. So this is the instructions for the assignment we're on now. So for this part, you will need to have a draft of your job application letter. And I know this item number 1 is worded a little oddly and may be confusing. So what this just means is that a peer response draft of your job application letter, all that means is just a draft of your job application letter. So you should have already created this. So you are going to send a copy of your job application letter completed along with a memo requesting advice on particular skills that you would like help with in revising your job application letter. So you'll be sending this request to two classmates. You should also, so in addition to emailing this to two classmates, you will also upload it like a normal assignment with a title page, okay? So I'm going to take you through that process. So let's assume that you already have your job application letter drafted, and it's time to send this out for peer review request. Well, first you need to find out who to send it to. So if you go back to our Moodle page and scroll down to week 3, scroll down all the way to the bottom, you will find under 7043A your peer review groups. Okay, I'm not going to open this because I am going to post this video on YouTube and I don't want to share everyone's full names. But if you open this up, it will have everyone listed in our class. I've put you in groups. So in the last half of our class of the summer, you'll be doing 2 really big group projects. And so for this peer review, I've actually placed you in the groups that you may likely be in for those big projects. So you can consider this peer review process a trial run. If I see that there are issues in some groups, I may mix them up for later. Okay, so if you click on this link here, a page kind of like this, but with 4 or 5 groups in it will pop up. So these are all just made up names other than me. But this is what it'll look like. So everyone will be in a group of 4 to 5 people, and you will be sending your draft and your request to the 2 names below your own. So for example, I would be sending mine to Eliza and Ann, the 2 names below me. So you'll be able to get your classmates' full names, and then all you have to do then is look up their email address. So going back to our web browser, all you need to do is go to illinois.edu, the University of Illinois website, and click on directory. So once you know someone's full name, who is either a student or works for the university, you can come here to the directory, click that. Then this may have you click a I'm not a robot button, like that. And then to look up student email addresses, you'll actually have to log in, okay? So log in just like you would going to your University of Illinois email, and then that will allow you to look up your classmates' email addresses. So no one who is unconnected to the university will be able to look up your email address. So I would click on student and just maybe look for the last name or the full name like this, and look up their email address. So I'm just going to click all and show you what it looks like. So if I search for Emmert, my last name, 3 people are going to pop up, and you look for the appropriate person, and there's their email address. Okay, you just copy that and paste that into your email. All right, so once you've identified who you're sending it to, now it's time to create a memo in which you request advice. So you have a separate document that is your job application letter draft, and now you have this memo. So this is a template I've whipped up, and you can also find this in our Moodle. So it's this template here, 7043A request memo template. So if you click on that, this is what will pop up. So as you can see, I've put the two names of the people I'm supposed to send this to in the two lines. So if you are sending a memo to more than one recipient, you can put them in the two line just like this. And notice that I've kind of tabbed everything over so it's aligned nicely. Now the from line should be your name, the date in which you wrote this request. And notice that this is a subject line and not an RE line. So all of the memos you've created up to this point have been in response to a task you've been set by Alex Nostrovia. And so you should have been writing RE as in reply or response here. But since the communication is initiated by you, you would write subject, just like we do at email. And so make sure that you have a subject line that is specific to this particular encounter, and then just kind of introduce why you're writing, the purpose of the memo, and then I want you to come up with 3 to 4 specific things you'd like advice on for your job application letter. So 3 to 4 things could be, it should be anything that we've been working on. You're welcome to ask for grammar help, but I'd really rather you get help with our higher level skills because those are the skills that will affect your grade the most. So just a real quick review, what are those higher level skills? You attitude, so basically selecting content, evidence, style, all based off of what would appeal to the reader and not me, the writer. Logos, and breaking that down into having a thesis that is clear and specific. Having that thesis then broken down into individual premises that begin their own paragraphs. Have those premises supported by sufficient evidence, which may be qualitative or quantitative, and then having all of those points relate to a conclusion, basically answering why does this matter to the reader. So those are the skills we're working on in Logos. Pathos, this is our first assignment that we're using pathos, and so that is appealing to audience values. So basically, what does this potential employer value in candidates, and making sure that we base our premises on those. Using emotional examples, and in this case we're talking about qualitative or show don't tell style evidence, and using effective tone. And again, it would be the tone that is effective based off of what we know this audience values. So audience values affect what premises we use, what evidence will be sufficient, what style of evidence, and what kind of tone will be effective. It also affects what the relevance is, so what we relate our points to. Okay, so those are some of the higher level skills that we'll be focusing on. Some other things that we have been working on are brevity. So whatever is again valued by our audience the most, you spend more time on, or more text, or expand on more. And whatever is least important, you spend less time on. All of our reading lessons, so lesson 3, lesson 8 on shape, lesson 7, you can ask for advice on incorporating those. So basically just style, how can I improve my style to be clear? And then if you need help with conventions, so basically just making a letter look like a letter. So those are basically the concepts that we've been working on, the skills we've been working on. So you should draft 3 to 4 questions based on 3 to 4 specific topics in here that you are concerned about doing well in your job application letter. And so I would recommend that you write these bullet points in the form of a question that are not yes or no questions. Because if you're just, what we're looking here for is advice on how to improve your work. You're not just looking for approval or disapproval. Basically, this is an opportunity to get your classmates to help you improve your writing. And so one of the ways that we can try to encourage our classmates to give us better advice is to give them how questions. So how can I do this? Or where can I do this? Or where am I doing this? As opposed to am I questions. So am I doing this right? Am I using enough evidence? Most people are just going to say yes, and then you're not going to get any advice. Okay, so 3 to 4 questions that will elicit advice. So for example, I might say, let's see. So I might ask about how I can use show don't tell in paragraph 3. So show don't tell is a style of evidence that I want you to use in at least one of your body paragraphs. So at least one of your body paragraphs, the bulk of it should be show don't tell style evidence, because show don't tell requires that you take up basically the whole paragraph to do it. So you could ask about how can I meet the criteria for that better. And you can express your feelings as well, like express what you're concerned about. That way your peer reviewer can help you better. Something else you can ask about, for example, might be in both body paragraphs, how can I improve my evidence? So it sounds like I'm the best candidate. Another thing you might ask is, how can I tie my experience back to the job? So that would be the conclusion part of your paragraph structure. So this is an example of what you might send. The last thing that you should do is give them a deadline, something that you think is realistic, but basically you'd like it by this point so that you can actually use their advice to revise your job application letter before Part C is due. Okay, so that's basically all you need to do. You would email your 2 classmates, names here, this memo, as well as your draft of the job application letter. And you should also submit both of these documents to Moodle so I can give you credit for them. So that's what you would be doing here. So you would click on this link here, or the one over here on the right hand side, Part A. So you would just submit this like normal. So it should have 3 pages, a title page, your draft of your job application letter, and your peer review request memo. Okay, so you'll submit this for grading. I'll give you points for getting it done. And you should also email your draft and your peer review request memo to your 2 classmates. Okay, so that's all there is to it. In the next part of the assignment, you will be responding to 2 classmates with peer review advice in a peer review response memo. I hope this video was useful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to bring those to our virtual class time or send me an email. Good luck.